Hi everyone, Matthew DeSantis here with NYRA Bets and here with another This Week in NYRA Bets video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the NYRA Bets YouTube channel. And what we do on This Week in NYRA Bets is pretty simple. We go over some of the big promotions, we talk about some of the upcoming content, and then I talk about some of the big races that we saw this past week and also look ahead to some of the big storylines that we have in the sport for the coming week. So a lot to get through this week because we saw some really pretty incredible performances over the last week and a lot of things to be excited about, but also obviously with the Whitney Day card coming up here this coming Saturday, a lot to be excited about as well moving forward. So a lot of fun, a lot of great promotions. Like I said, you want to make sure to like and subscribe to the NYRA Bets YouTube channel. Really appreciate all of the support that we've had. It's really great to walk through the spa on a Wednesday or Thursday when it's not so crowded. And I've had people come up to me and go, "Hey, I really like your YouTube video." And that means a lot. I really do appreciate it because you as a player have an opportunity to watch any number of different videos and consume a lot of different content. And the fact that you're choosing to watch this really does mean a lot to all of us at NYRA Bets. So like I said, make sure to opt into all promotions. If you haven't signed up for NYRA Bets, I don't know what you're doing, but listen, you got to get signed up because we have that SPA 250 deposit match. And that's a great promo that you want to take advantage of if you're not playing on NYRA Bets already. But listen, let's talk about what we have in the coming week. And as we turn the calendar from July to August, we got some new promotions coming up. And so, listen, let's talk about some old standard promotions, though, that we love. And that is Monday night at Assiniboia. Monday Night Lights, baby. Nothing better than Assiniboia on a Monday night, at least not in my opinion. I don't know. If you bet $100 at Assiniboia, you get $20 back, win or lose. That's a fantastic play. Listen, the $1 minimum bet pick four is a great wager. It's a low takeout, 15%. It's a player-friendly wager. It's one that those of us who play a little bit more regularly love participating in. A lot of fun. But it also, listen, they also have low minimum bet wagers. Pick three is, I think, 20 cents. The pick five is 20 cents. And I know some more experienced players don't like playing that pick five as a jackpot. And I understand that because they do have that. But it really is a good track to learn on, I feel like, for a lot of young players and novice players because it's just one surface. It's 7 races. It's not too overwhelming. This is not Keeneland in the spring. So listen, you want to make sure to opt in to NYRA Bets promo and get that $20 bonus if you bet 100 at Assiniboia on Monday nights. You shift to Wednesday. Listen, we got a $10 bonus. If you bet 50 at both Saratoga and Delaware Park, you get $10 back, win or lose. Fun bet, two fun Wednesday tracks to play. Obviously, Saratoga is always fun, but I love playing Delaware Park as well. I have a lot of good friends who are based down there and a lot of really good folks. And some would say one of the top 3 or 4 paddocks in the country. People love the paddock down there at Delaware Park. It is beautiful and some really good racing to boot as well. Now, listen, Thursday and Friday, we go overseas. We go with a 10 times rewards points bonus for every dollar bet at Goodwood. And Goodwood's got some really big races coming up. They got kind of their Qatar racing series. And there's some really big names. You're going to see a horse like Inspiral. You're going to see a horse like Emily Upjohn. These are big names in European racing. If you're not familiar with them, they're going to be racing Thursday and Friday at Goodwood. And I want to show you something because we talk about wanting to give players more data and more access to information. And I got to tip my cap, although I don't have it on right now, to Goodwood because they have something called turf tracks. And if you go to NYRA Bets, we have this linked on the NYRA Bets page. You go to the Goodwood page, they have in-depth detail information about their turf course and the condition of their turf course, not just what the going is in terms of right now it's good to soft in places. They have a detailed explanation about the rail settings, how it's being impacted in the next 24 hours, etc. They let you know when was the last time they measured the going. They give you the weather forecast. They let you know about any watering that's going on. And this is not all. They have things about humidity. They have stuff about the wind. They have stuff about the dew point. They have a ton of data on their site that's free that helps players know, hey, this is the sort of track conditions that we're going to be seeing at Goodwood. So I love seeing that sort of access to information for players and just wanted to really give a tip of the cap to Goodwood for providing that. And I think that's a great reason to play. I always like supporting a track that gives more data and more access to its players. So make sure to opt into that promotion on Thursday and Friday on NYRA Bets if you're playing over in those Qatar races at Goodwood. Now, Saturday, listen, we got the continuation of the Travers Day Bankroll Builder. Hopefully, you cashed your ticket on Thorpedo Anna 2 weeks ago in the Coaching Club America Oaks. Hopefully, you cashed your ticket this week in the Jim Dandy on Fierceness. Those are the first two steps. We got the Whitney coming up this week. Obviously, if you bet $50 to win on a horse in the Whitney and opt into the promotion, you get $20 no matter what. Okay. And that $20 is going to be held until Travers Day. And at that point, it's going to be accessible to you. And depending on how many of those times you opted in and played, if you did all 5 of the races leading up to the Travers, you're going to get $100. If you just opted in once, hey, you still get $20. 3 times, you get $60. So it's a great way to build up your bankroll for the Travers. And I'll be honest, I'm doing pretty well right now with this Travers Bankroll Builder. Always a fun promotion. We have it for the Breeders' Cup. We have it for the Kentucky Derby. It's always a really fun promotion, a popular one amongst our players. And then finally on Sunday, we have the money back guarantee in the first race at both Del Mar and Saratoga. If you opt in and you place a $10 win bet on a horse and that horse finishes second or third, guess what? You get your money back. If the horse wins, hey, great job. Good job picking a winner. And you get to keep your winnings, obviously. But like I said, opt in. If your horse finishes second or third, you still get your money back. It's a great way to take a little bit of a swing. I took a little bit of a swing in the first race on Sunday at Saratoga. I went with kind of the third choice on the board. Thought the horse might have a shot. It was a Bill Mott horse sired by Practical Joke in a maiden race. And horse ran really well in the front end, just faded a little bit late. But you know something? Held on and finished third. Guess what? Got my money back. So no harm, no foul. So a lot of fun there. All right. Well, listen, let's talk about the upcoming content that we have for this week on NYRA Bets. And we have quite a lot. So we have the Saratoga track stats video coming out on Tuesday morning. You want to make sure to watch that. Get you ready for the week ahead and let you know how's the track playing. There's a lot of discussion about that over the week. It seemed like on Friday, nobody could pass. Well, that might not quite have been real when you looked at the actual statistics. You definitely wanted to be on the front end, but people were passing each other. Saturday, it felt like everybody was doing a lot of passing. Leading up to the Jim Dandy, there was a lot of discussion that the track was playing towards Sierra Leone and against some of the front runners. So track conditions can obviously change from day to day, but I think track stats is a great way to let you know how's the course playing. The main track, we look at the inner turf, the outer turf. We look at different distances. We look at different surfaces. We even look at how favorites are performing in different levels and by different wagering levels. So how are even money or lower favorites doing as opposed to 2-1 to 3-1 favorites, etc. Gives you more data to consider when you're placing your bet, and that's what it's all about. We also have a lot of great race previews coming up this week. We got a Whitney preview with JK. Jonathan Kinchin's going to be joining us for that. Appreciate his time. And then Maggie Wolfendale. Listen, I'm not stupid. I see what videos do well on the YouTube channel, and the 2-year-old maiden video that we did with Maggie, everybody loved it. And so, listen, we got to get Maggie back, but we don't want to use Maggie too much. She's a busy person right now, and so, but she's going to take some time and join us for a test stakes preview. That's going to be a lot of fun. So those will both be up later in the week. Obviously, we have the Assiniboia Downs Tuesday night live stream. Listen, if you're not hanging out with us on Tuesday nights, can you even call yourself a horse player? I don't know, because we're having a lot of fun doing it. We had 1,000 people join us the first week. We had 1,200 people join us last week. Maybe we'll get 1,500 this coming week. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time. We engage with everybody who is in the chat, commenting on who they like, who they're betting on the different races, etc. Really a lot of fun. Starts at 8 o'clock, goes until about 10:15. Basically, we cover the first 4 races on the card and have a lot of fun doing it. I'm joined by a couple of different guests. I'm very fortunate. I have a colleague up here at NYRA who used to work at Assiniboia Downs. He joins, has some great insight about the way the track plays, the different connections, the way the races are built, etc. And then have some different friends of mine who are handicappers and bettors who join, who love playing Assiniboia as well. So it's a lot of fun. It's just a good time to tune in on Tuesday nights. Obviously, we're going to have capping the card for the Whitney Saturday. Still working on lining up a couple of guests for that. And might even have a couple of Del Mar videos. Still working on that as well. We got the Clement Hirsch this coming week out at where the turf meets the surf at Del Mar. But the other really cool video that we have is coming out later this week. We have a 2-day all-turf pick 5. And you say, Matthew, when and where? Saratoga, starting Friday, into Saturday. Basically, all of the turf stakes races are merged together in a 2-day, multi-day special wager. All turf, 2-day, all stakes, pick 5. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to be joined by Michael Domabel. If you know anything about horse racing, you probably know a little bit about Michael. He does a lot of great written analysis for In the Money Media. He also is a super sharp handicapper and somebody who I have a lot of respect for. But Michael does a lot with the Keeneland Turf Pick 3s. And so I figured, hey, multi-day all turf wagers, I got to get Michael on here. He's not just a sharp handicapper, he's a very sharp bettor. And we're going to talk a little bit about betting strategy in that pick 5. So you definitely want to make sure to watch that. All right, well, that's just some of the content coming up this week, but let's talk a little bit about what we learned over the last week. And obviously, we don't want to bury the lead, but something, there's so many leads. Which one should we not bury? Let's start with this news on the track, and then we'll get to some news that happened off the track that will pertain to later this summer. But when you look at on the track, the Jim Dandy, and what we saw that day, and we saw fierceness, the real fierceness, as Pete Aiello said, show up. And he is an enigmatic horse. He is a difficult horse to figure out. When he is on, he looks like a world beater. When he is off, he looks incredibly pedestrian. And he continued his on-off cycle with a big performance in the Jim Dandy, going out, tracking the early pace behind Pony Express, who was kind of the nominal rabbit, if you will, in that race. And then holding off Sierra Leone late to win that race, and a race that I think a lot of people thought was set up for Sierra Leone. And if you watch my professor's whiteboard, if you read my analysis, as good as Sierra Leone is, he feels like he's his own worst enemy sometimes. Now, he didn't lug in this time. He actually ran pretty straight. It was batting down that was all over the place. I was up on the roof recording the stretch run, and when Batten Down started weaving around, I thought that was Sierra Leone for a second. And, it was, that's what's happened when you're up on the roof watching a race. But it was a really thrilling atmosphere and really electric in the crowd when they turned for home. So much fun. But fierceness, the question is, where will he run next? I think that's the big question. Now, my colleague in NYRA, Andy Serling, he doesn't necessarily buy the line of reasoning that fierceness needs extra time between races. And he brings up a good point, which is that arguably his best performance was, and maybe not his highest buyer speed figure, but I would agree with Andy, his best performance came in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year on 27 days rest. So he can come back. I do wonder, as a 3-year-old, if these races have become a little bit more taxing for him. He has not grown. I mean, when you see him in the paddock, if you've never seen fierceness before in person, he's not an overwhelming horse. When they walk into the paddock, everybody sees Sierra Leone. That's a horse that just is jaw-droppingly gorgeous, but also just well-built. And you go, wow, this horse should be able to run for days. I think he can. But even a horse like Gould's Gold is a really eye-catching horse. And then fierceness comes in, and you kind of go, it's interesting. Like maybe a miler, maybe a sprinter, like doesn't really have that overwhelming physique to him, never really filled out. So I do wonder, as the races maybe have gotten more difficult, a little bit longer, as he's gotten to 3, if maybe it is starting to take a little bit more of a toll on him. Obviously, you just need to see what the horse's weight looks like coming out of the race, how the horse responds, how he looks in the workouts, etc. Will he go to the Travers? I don't know. I know some people are very steadfastly believe he absolutely will go to the Travers. I know Mindframe's going to go to the Travers, and that horse is owned by Mike Rapoli and also trained by Todd Pletcher. Could fierceness go to the Pennsylvania Derby, say, next? That would give him a little bit more time to recover. We'll have to wait and see. But it was a big effort for sure. And like I said, if you believe in this on-off pattern, next time it's not going to be good. He'll be off. But he earned a 103 buyer speed figure for that effort. And that's now his third 100-plus buyer speed figure. And amazingly, his 103 is actually his third lowest. It's only his third highest, I should say. His lowest of his 100-plus speed figures, because he's got a 110 and a 105. So listen, Sierra Leone, I don't know what you do with that horse, because I was watching the replay a couple of times, and Sierra Leone's stride is so much larger than Fierceness is. It's really incredible. When you watch Fierceness and Sierra Leone in that stretch run, Fierceness has these long strides, and Sierra Leone has these long strides, and Fierceness has these short, choppy little strides by comparison. And, I don't know what to make, though, of Sierra Leone kind of running a pretty good race, staying a lot closer to the pace, maybe staying a little bit closer, maybe negated some of that closing kick that he tends to have. I don't know. Maybe that's why he flattened out, that wasn't really able to make that final push to get by Fierceness, who was running a huge race, admittedly. Somebody on X shared a side-by-side graphic. I wish I remembered who, but thank you for whoever did, of Sierra Leone and Zandon. And it was really interesting to see the parallels between these two, because I think we've all been trying to find maybe a parallel to Sierra Leone. And Zandon definitely kind of fits the bill a little bit, like a horse that won the Bluegrass and then could never really get over that next hump, and would always run well, would run second or third in every big race, but could never really get that breakthrough victory. And interestingly enough, also finished second in the Jim Dandy, earned roughly the same buyer speed figure. So it was kind of incredible to see the similarities between those two horses, but a thrilling victory there for Fierceness. And we'll just have to wait and see what is next for the son of City of Light. Now, let's talk about a freakish performance we saw on Sunday, and that was in the Bowling Green by Silver Knott. Okay, Silver Knott set the track record for 1 mile and 3/8. Now, I understand, before we get into the jokes about New York turf racing pace, I get it. That was still a heck of an effort. And here's the bigger news. I got to give a shout out to Mary Eddy, who's a great photographer, but also a really good Twitter follow. And Mary posted that the 10 furlong split that Silver Knott ran was only 3/100ths of a second slower than Arrogate's Travers victory. Okay. I mean, Silver Knott was flying and was not even really being asked at any point. Flavian Pratt only shook the reins about halfway through the home stretch and then was able to just kind of keep after the horse to keep him focused, but otherwise just blew by the competition. So impressive. Or I didn't say blew by, just blew away from the competition because it was a front running ride. But it was an incredibly impressive performance for a Charlie Appleby horse who has clearly taken a huge step forward from 2 to 3, or from 3 to 4, I should say, and has asserted himself as this dominant horse in the longer turf marathon races, and can't wait to see where he's going to be running next, and can't wait to see his next effort, because he earned a 103 buyer speed figure as well. So he and Fierceness earning the same number on 2 different days on 2 different surfaces. Really amazing to see just the time with which Silver Knott was able to run and how easily he was able to do those fractions and setting them up on the front end. Well, let's also not just talk about Saratoga, but we got to go out west and talk about maybe the people's horse, the Vox Populi, maybe the Chosen Vron. And the Chosen Vron winning the Bing Crosby Stakes and doing it impressively. As someone said, kind of almost like a paid workout. And it really was that impressive. The Chosen Vron, now winner of 19 races in 24 career starts, 18 stakes wins, and now his second grade 1 back-to-back Bing Crosby Stakes. Listen, I do think the scratch of Straight No Chaser had an impact on that race, because that horse should have been the speed of the speed and could have changed some of the dynamics in the race. So him scratching, I do think changes things. That said, that was still a solid field. You had grade 2 winners. You had very good horses like Close the Game Sugar, who had just beaten Skelly and Tejano Twist and Hoist the Gold in his previous 2 races. Really nice horse. And yet, I mean, the Chosen Vron, no problem at all. And a ton of credit to Eric Kruljack, who has managed this horse beautifully and who has given this horse to the people in so many ways. This horse runs regularly. This horse runs often, whether it's against Calbred competition or whether it's against open company, like what we saw in the Bing Crosby Stakes. But the Chosen Vron, what a racehorse, and what a great effort, and just a really cool horse, a throwback horse, and you got to love it for the California breds, and really a cool moment there to see him win the Bing Crosby. And now you got to think about him as a really serious contender in this year's Breeders' Cup Sprint. And that's going to be a really fun race. It always is. Those are always thrilling. Well, listen, let's talk about the news off the track. And that is, of course, what Kenny McPeek decided to grace us with his presence on Saturday at Saratoga on the set of Saratoga Live on Fox, and he said, she's coming. And that is Thorpedo Anna going to the Whitney. And I am excited for this news. It's going to be a lot, or I'm sorry, to the Travers. Going to be a lot of fun. Thorpedo Anna to the Travers and taking on the boys. And I have fully endorsed this move. I think this makes sense in a variety of different ways. One, she has nothing else to prove against 3-year-old fillies. I don't think there's going to be any damage done with her running against the boys in this spot. But we should also point out the 3-year-old male crop, hardly a bunch of world beaters. I mean, it really took until Dornick, just winning the Haskell recently, to have the first multi-grade 1 winner this year among the 3-year-old boys. So you've not seen the 3-year-old males kind of assert themselves, and they've not been that overwhelming. I mean, by and large, they're running about 100 to 103 as kind of the top buyer speed figure that most of them are running, and she's not that far off, especially considering in the Coaching Club of America Oaks, she had a really troubled start and had to kind of rush up and definitely change the dynamics of the race and was never really asked for anything. She's got a versatile running style. It's going to be a lot of fun to see her go up against the boys. It's going to make the Travers a much more engaging betting race. And more importantly, I think it makes the Alabama a significantly better betting race. So in this one decision that Kenny McPeek made, quite frankly, as a horse player, I should be sending him a Christmas card because he made the Travers a better betting race. And maybe you believe Thorpedo Anna is a takeout reducer, and that's fine, because guess what? If she is, then you can find a price on a horse you like that much more if she wasn't in the race, okay? So it absolutely makes the Travers a better betting race, and it makes the Alabama an incredibly better betting race, because suddenly you don't have the monster that everybody's ducking, and all of a sudden the trainers and the connections of all the 3-year-old fillies out there who couldn't compete with Thorpedo Anna suddenly look at the Alabama and go, hey, we can get a grade 1. We can get grade 1 placed even. Maybe if we don't think we're quite good enough to win, we can still make a run at this thing. And that's a really big deal later on for those horses' careers. And so suddenly, I think you're going to see a lot more horses entered in the Alabama. It's going to be a more competitive race. It's going to be a better betting race. And that's all we can ask for as a horse player. I want a good betting race. I want big fields, and I want good betting races, competitive betting races where I can find a price and feel good about it. If she was running in the Alabama, that wasn't going to happen. It was going to be another short field, and she was going to be a 1-5 favorite. And that's just not a very fun betting race. Now she's in against the boys. She's going to be an honest price if you believe in her. Like I said, if you think she's a takeout reducer, that's fine, because that's going to allow the horse you like to be a more honest price. So, like I said, McPeek making this decision strengthened 2 races at once. And I think that's a really cool thing. And I'm excited to see her take on the boys in the Travers. Well, listen, I could ramble on all day about this stuff. I love horse racing, and I appreciate all of you for tuning in and checking out This Week in NYRA Bets. Make sure to like and subscribe here on be a part of our YouTube community for NYRA Bets. Make sure to come back later this week for all of the live streams, the videos, the race previews, capping the card, and so much more. Until next time, friends, my name is Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great and prosperous day at the races and reminding you it's now post time.